What's up, y'all? My name is Devontae, and I sacrifice my time so you don't have to. So, let me just get this out of the way really quick. Two things. One, I understand last night the NBA was on. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was the Celtics game. That's what I heard yesterday, right? I'm pretty sure that's the game everybody's talking about that was on at the same time AEW was on. I'm just going to throw that out, just straight up. Don't want to hide the ball on this. Let's lead it in with that, all right? Number two, there's no need for me to leave a link. Just go check out Meltzer's tweet. That's where I got it from as far as the number. If he's going to put out something as low as this, I'm pretty sure it's the acceptable number, right? So, last night, AEW got 672,000 views. I don't know my history all too well as far as the viewership numbers are considered, but that's got to be top 10, maybe even top 5 lowest viewership number in this regular time slot that I think has ever happened in the history of the company. Like, I'm not talking about them being on TNT then going to TBS or them being slotted for a different day a couple of years ago. No. I mean, in their normal time slot on TBS, I believe, on their normal time slot, on their normal day, on their normal hours, this has got to be one of the lowest, if not maybe I don't want to say the lowest viewership number. I got to go actually look that up. I'm going off the top of my head right here. But this is for sure top 10 at the very, 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 very least. Maybe even top 5. And here's my thing. Again, let me reiterate this one more time. I understand that the NBA was on last night. But how many excuses can you make to at least tell me why the fuck are they dropping so drastically compared to what happened last year, compared to the year before that? That's always been my main contention when it comes to AEW. I understand the NBA, in the end of the day, it's going to be harsh competition. The NBA, they're going to fuck you up, all right? They're going to fuck up every show that's on that night. That just happens to be the case. It's sports. Everybody in America loves sports. I'm not going to hold them to the fire as far as their numbers being drastically low, but it's one thing to go for an example from 1.4. That's their peak, right? So let's just say their average about 2 years ago was around, 800-something thousand? Lower 9s, upper 800s. You still can't excuse the fact that 672,000. Now it's lower than what it was previously about 3 weeks ago when they were at 688,000. How many times do you blame the NBA for people who just gave up on the company, who just gave up on the product to go watch a different product? Like I said, those people who were alive to watch the product when the NBA were doing their thing still about 2 years ago, did they not exist or did they exist? Where did they go? That's always been my contention with AEW that no one wants to engage with. You can sit here all you want to and you can say that the NBA is destroying AEW. Look at that, Fruity and Slip right there. We're almost going to TNA. You can say as much as you want that the NBA is the reason as to why their numbers are down. I'm not saying that that's not the case. My question is, why is it down dramatically compared to how down it was previously when the NBA was on television? Can anybody engage with that point? Could it be the fact that currently at the moment they have nothing that's engaging? They have nothing worth wanting to watch? They have run through all the kind of matches that they could probably have on their television show, and we're pretty much being left with whatever creative they want to give to us or the norm cliche of the in-ring action? Let me ask you another question. So let's just say, what if I were to at least kowtow to let me not even kowtow. I'm never gonna say that. What if I were to concede, just flat out, just outright concede the fact that okay, the NBA is the reason why the numbers are that way. We all know that to be the case, but let's just say that the NBA has gotten so much better, and for some odd reason, people just said to themselves, "Well, I'll watch AEW now, but then I'm gonna go watch the NBA afterwards," and the number just drastically fell down 200,000, 300,000 compared to where it was a couple of years ago. Let's just say I concede to that number. Okay, can you tell me why their numbers in attendance is so low then? Because their attendance numbers last night was horrific also. You see the picture in the thumbnail. That's not photoshopped. That's their attendance. Their attendance had nobody practically there. They had to move everybody to the hard cam side, or at least the opposite of the hard cam side, because, they couldn't fill the arena. Does that have something to do with the NBA also? Huh? Does that have anything to do with the NBA also? Were they trending last night? I don't know. Can someone tell me? I don't believe so. When was the last time AEW got trending at all, period? Does that have something to do with the NBA? You can use whatever excuse you want to use. It just feels like that is super convenient at the moment. Was the NBA on last week or 2 weeks ago when they were around the upper 700,000 range? or at least the lower 700,000 range, right? Excuse me. Were they on at the time? So tell me, why did it drop nearly, last week it would have been close to 50,000 views? Almost. When do we get to the point when we start making the excuses and we start bettering the creative? When do we get to the point when we start making excuses and we start holding people accountable for the terrible creative they have going on currently in the company? And people, you can play this whataboutism all you want to, and you could be like, well, Devontae, what about NXT? Well, Devontae, what about Raw? They're all dropping. And like I said, I'll say it again. I completely understand that the NBA is doing something to them right now. That's not my point. I'm looking at AEW because they're the ones who are supposed to be the counteroffer for people who are watching WWE. And at the end of the day, WWE's numbers going down. I'll put it to you this way. At their lowest, AEW wish they can get what WWE get. At their lowest, right? So put them to the side for a second. They're an establishment. They already have established fans. That median that you see currently at the moment with WWE as far as their lowest viewership number, they're never going to get lower than 1.4 or 1.3. It's just not going to happen. At least not within the foreseeable future. It's not going to happen. They've never gotten that low, and it's not going to get that low outside of, being moved to another television slot or whatever. On a regular time slot, there are just way too many diehard fans domestically who are not going to watch the NBA or anything sports related compared to watching Raw or SmackDown for that matter, or whatever wrestling happens to be on that day. They have their established audience base, right? That are just hardcore diehards, watch religiously. That's it. That's just a done data. Their diehard fan base is more at their lowest than AEW. It's like me, for an example. You look at my YouTube channel, right? No matter what I do, ever, it doesn't matter what I put out. It doesn't matter what video I put out. It doesn't matter. It's impossible. It's virtually impossible for me to get below 100 views. It's not going to happen. Ever. It's not going to happen. I have more diehard people who watch the channel at around 100 views then you get what I'm trying to say. There are more people who are watching the channel and the videos religiously in a 24-hour period compared to those who don't watch the videos in the 24-hour period. You can hate me, you can love me, but that happens to be the facts. I will never, ever, no matter what content, I can put out whatever I want. By the way, that will never be the case, but I'm just giving an example. I will never get anything below 100 views. Never. Never, ever. It's never going to happen. Never. In a 24-hour period, in a 1-hour period. That's just never going to happen. That's the same way you can look at a WWE. So why concern yourself with that? Not to mention, in the end of the day, as I said 1,000,000,001 times, I want to see AEW grow in order to actually engage with WWE as far as content is considered, and hopefully they can up each other's standards and do better. You're not going to up WWE standards by putting out a subpar product to the extent that you have to make up 1,000,001 excuses as to why your viewership number is going down. Even if, like I said, the NBA, you can make as many excuses if you want to. Like, I'm going to reiterate this one more time because, again, people are going to miss this, and I have to do this because I have to get across this point. Where were they 2 years ago compared to what they are right now when the NBA was on, when they were on at the same time? Right? What was it? What was it? Can you tell me? I can tell you it was in the upper 800,000, lower 900,000. So why aren't they here right now? And that's going to come right back to the point that you're trying to deflect from, which is it's the creative. What you seen last night, like I said, you're not giving anyone a reason to want to come back to watch the product. It's as simple as that. That's why your numbers are in the position that they're in right now. Look at even your talent. It's not just me thinking this. Did you guys hear about Wardlow allegedly asking for his release? Apparently that's a thing. He allegedly asked for his release. What about Ricky Starks? I heard some comments that he made earlier about being frustrated about not being used in AEW. I heard Jeff Hardy wants to leave the company also. You have a bunch of people who are looking at the current product at the moment and they're saying to themselves that you're not doing a good job. Look at what you're promoting at the moment. Like I said, the angle in itself is not bad, but it's the inconsistency and it's the people that are involved within the angle in itself with no strong opposition, because the opposition that you need in order to counteract the entire story and balance it out, he's in a different company because you ran him off. Your only draw within the company, might I add. That would be the elite angle. We touched on this plenty of times before. We're going to touch touch on it one more time. The angle in itself, as far as the concept, is not that bad. You know, the whole going after Tony concept, that's not that bad. It's not really a bad idea when you think of it and, as a concept. But the problem with it, and I talked about this 1,000,001 times, the problem with it is that you don't have people who fit that bill who can actually look cool as far as an aesthetic is considered, and also look intimidating in order to get the point across as far as what you want to do. Not to mention the stuff that surrounds around the angle. It's just stereotypical tropes that happen in professional wrestling all the time as is, right? You're doing your finishers in order to get a point across. Now, granted, that can work in WCW when it was such an unknown thing to do when the NWO started, right? It was so unknown for the majority of wrestling fans. The concept in itself was so unique and new and original. You can get away with doing the cliche things in professional wrestling to get it across because you're blurring the lines. Now that we know all this stuff is essentially fake, you have to up the game up if you're going to do the same concept. Because now wrestling fans on social media, there are more wrestling fans today that know that wrestling is fake than those that actually thought it was real about 30 years ago. At least then you can say the majority of fans thought it was fake. But I'll probably say from a percentile standpoint, maybe like 75%, 25%, maybe 80%, 20% thought it was real versus fake, right? Versus today, it's more like 99%. You have to be a fucking child or someone who's disabled who thinks wrestling is real. So you have to up the game up. You have to up the standards in order to get whatever you're trying to get across over. And doing it in the manner of how you're doing it, it just seems like, again, you're insulting everybody's intelligence, from the stature of the superstars, from the way they carry themselves, from the way that they look, from the way that they talk. Again, everything about it just seems so fake, and it seems so stupid, and it doesn't run the course. And that's just looking at it, again, aesthetically. Now, when you get to the actual crux of the story, legitimately, there's nothing that hasn't been done already in professional wrestling that you're currently doing at the moment, right? So when you take all those things and you meld it up together, you have nothing going on. And that's why I said it's not a bad idea that you have this angle with the elite taking over the company. It's not bad that you have the angle going on. But if these are going to be the participants and this is the story, this is the lane that you're going to take in order to get it across, that's why I said a guy like Swerve Strickland, he really could have fit that void or filled that void as far as you legitimately trying to get over a story that can, for the most part be relatable. At the very least be relatable. I touched on this last night, but you've seen the stuff with Swerve Strickland and Christian Cage. It would have been so much better, and this is just my opinion. Again, people can have different ideas. You can call it a bad take if you want. I don't mind that. It's just an idea, just to kind of get across the point of what I'm trying to talk about. Because this right here, this is my opinion from a creative standpoint, but the overall context is focusing on one superstar and trying to make them relatable with the rest of the audience. So therefore, when you see them in this vulnerable position, you want to connect with them and then come back next week to see what's going to be the next ongoing story, or maybe even collision if you play your cards right? Because people can't get enough of your product if you know what the fuck you're doing. Ask McMahon in Austin. It would have been so much better to close out the show, in my opinion, with Brian Cage and Swerve Strickland. Okay, I get it. They have a problem stemming off of last week, right? They have a problem stemming off of what Swerve did to the two Samoan guys on Collision, right? Can't remember their fucking names to save my soul, but you know what I'm talking about. So it would have been really nice if Swerve would have went inside there, beat Brian Cage. Okay, then Christian comes out. They hit him in the head with the picture frame with his daughter and with his family and his girl and all that shit. And, it would have been nice if Swerve Strickland just, and again, that does bring into questioning also the production value. It would have been nice if Swerve was laid the fuck out, right? And you have Christian standing directly over him, holding up the world championship directly above Swerve Strickland. And as the camera is panning in on Christian and Swerve's lifeless body, it goes directly to that photo that Christian smeared all over Swerve Strickland's face with blood all over it. And the camera zooms in on that photo of Swerve and his daughter and the mom with blood all over it. And now you have questions. I remember seeing someone last night asking, man, what's the point of actually doing this story? This just feels like it just came out of nowhere. It's random. What the fuck does Swerve's family have to do with all this? But see, that's the magic. If you would have actually done what I just said right now, and I'm not saying you have to do it to that T, but I'm just giving out an idea as far as what you should have done. If you would have zoomed in on that picture with the blood all over it, and you have the announcers in the background going, oh my God, I think that's Swerve's family. What is Christian alluding to? And he's talking like that, right? And he's doing all that with the hushed tones, and you go off the air like that. Well, that's the cliffhanger that's going to get people to want to show up next week to see what the fuck is going on with Swerve's family and Christian, and what is he alluding to, and what is he talking about. That can only be done when you actually allude to it throughout the night, and then you build up to the main event, and then you do this angle. That's how you get people to want to tune in next week. When you just consistently throw out all these random ass matches that people can't connect with, and then you show the world champion one time at the top of the hour, you actually feel like what you're doing is establishing something. You're not establishing anything. What I just said right now is establishing something, not because it's my opinion, and of course I'm going to favor my opinion. That's not it. The content within my opinion is not what I'm going out of my way to explain. What I'm going out of my way to explain is just basic structure within the story. What I'm going out of my way to explain is this is how you hook people into watching something, right? But, you know, you're so busy trying to focus on these twinks and this terrible story. You already fucked up. It was never going to work without CM Punk. So the best course of action is to do your best to make them look formidable. The story in itself, you're going to have to switch it up. You're going to have to do a little bit of tweaks. And then you're going to have to present it in a different manner. Otherwise, they're going to turn directly into the Undisputed Kingdom. You see how they're floundering right now. There are so many things that you legitimately could have done with this Swerve and Christian. And quite frankly, you probably... well, no, because the pay-per-view is coming up on Saturday. So you kind of just, you know, fuck that up. Honestly, I mean, maybe you could run it back. I don't know. I mean, it's a defeated purpose. You know what I mean? And then whenever you talk to AEW fans about this, they get so hostile and they get so angry because you're going after their company. And it's so weird. And I hate doing this because it feels like I'm just repeating myself over and over again these past couple of years. I'm really just repeating myself. But I do have AEW's best interests in my mind. I really do want them to do better. I swear to God, I do. And it's stuff that I just illustrated right there that they lack, that they don't do, that makes it very, very hard to watch. It makes it incredibly boring, and it makes no one want to watch the product to the extent that you get as low as numbers as you get right now currently, to the point where I still don't know where your median is as far as your average hardcore fan base, because you still keep dropping even past the median. At the very least with the basketball stuff, I feel like you should have probably wanted this so at least you can map out correctly who happens to be your hardcore fans or who happens to not be your hardcore fans. You know, without the NBA, it's just people coming in and coming out. With the NBA, it's like, okay, who's willing to watch this product over the NBA? And you still keep declining. So there's still no wondering, like, where is it? Maybe you can look at Rampage. Maybe you can look at Collision. But do you really want to when you say to yourself, like, holy fuck, that's like 400,000, 300,000, 200,000 at their worst. I think at the very least, Dynamite happens to be the show that everyone knows is important. It's like Raw back in the days. So that's probably more of a gauge because no one really has time to want to watch Collision or want to watch Rampage, but they want to watch Dynamite to keep up with the overall programming in AEW in general because that's the flagship show and they know most of the actual legitimate storylines are going to take place on that show right there. But you bring this up to the fans and they get so upset. And they tell you things like, well, this wrestling match right here, or WWE sucks right here, or this versus that versus this versus that, this is this, that, and the third. And it's like, you know what? Okay, keep making up excuses then. Go ahead and doing the same fucking tried and true method of obfuscating every little fucking thing that I'm saying in order to deflect from the fact that your company is creatively failing at the moment, your attendance is failing at the moment, your viewership numbers is failing at the moment, and you can say as much as you want to that NBA is the reason why they're in this position currently at the moment. But guess what? Your brackets are still following. Right now, currently, you're still falling. With or without NBA, you're still falling. You're still failing. Everything about the company is on the downslope. Nothing is upwards. But who am I but the guy who's just an AEW hater? Oh, dear God, Devontae, if you can just get out of AEW's way, Lord knows they'll be doing so much better. Come on, man, you're making a fool out of yourself. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Look, like I said, in the end of the day, I just want them to be an active competitor. Not competition, because competition can be, or excuse me, not, I said that shit backwards. I want them to be competition, not a competitor. A competitor is a bunch of fucking indie companies that's circulating around WWE at the moment. Okay, PW Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, PWG, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Shikara, all these fucking companies, if they're even still around right now, they're all competitors to WWE. Why? Because they all do the exact same thing, and they're all within the same market, and the same people who watch those shows 9 times out of 10 at least are aware, if not actively watch the other program. I don't want you to be a competitor. Everybody's a competitor. I want you to be competition. Someone who can actually go out there and stick it to WWE, so whenever they give us lame shit, we can minimize that as much as possible by having them giving us better content and a better product, in fear of us wanting to come and watch your television show. But when your viewership numbers are as low as this, and you make up every fucking excuse in the book as to why your viewership number is as low as it is, even with basketball, because again, just to reiterate that point one more time, for the 4th time throughout the video, it ain't about the NBA. When you talk about the numbers as far as where you were about a year or 2 or 3 ago, compared to where you at currently at the moment when the NBA is on. There's only so many excuses you can make, and you can sit back and deflect as much as you want, but none of that deflection is going to stop the bleeding that's currently happening in AEW. And if that makes me an AEW hater, then goddamn it, I guess me at my most hatiness, if that's even a fucking word, me at my most hateful, I guess I hate the company so much that I love them more than you, because apparently I'm the only one out of the both of us that actually sees there's a problem going on right now. I don't know. Crazy times, crazy world we live in. As always, my name is Devontae, and I'll be catching you guys later. Deuces, P.I.S.